Zergadowski of WeAreChange.org. We got a whole crowd of people here, and of course we have Tim Pool and Sargon Avocado. They just had a big panel discussion. You also had Carlos Alazraki out there. He's the guy. He's the Taco Bell dog voiceover, and he was in Reno 911. Had a very interesting conversation about liberal ideologies. Had a whole debate on there. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you two guys about, since you guys are in the media and you guys like to call out bullcrap, is that to me media is really all about power. Morals don't matter, politics don't matter, it's really just vying for power, and we've been kind of seeing the epitome of it being abused and abused, I think, by both the left and right. Do you guys agree with that statement, and what kind of examples do you think you guys seen with the media just being a tool for power?
I see you've been watching Mika Brzezinski, haven't you?
I actually haven't. She's Polish.
I'm joking, but but she literally said that she hates Donald Trump's Twitter feed because controlling what people think, and that's her job. Yep. She literally said those words, and it was just like, well, thanks for spelling it out. I guess we know,
So I think the far left has institutional power they wield when it comes to fake news, and the far right fake news tends to be opportunists who have small operations in their living rooms. But you have these two extremes, and it's a huge problem. And then you have the partisan left and partisan right, like Huffington Post or Breitbart, which, they're catering to their view of the world and their friends, basically. Like, they want their friends to accept them. They want a particular group of people to accept them. And in my opinion, it's all just going to start crumbling down. It can't survive, and that's bad news for everybody.
I hope so, but they do control it with big money. And when we're talking about that power, there's certain different levels of power. And for that power, facts don't matter, evidence doesn't matter. It's just a lot of emotional kind of manipulation that we're seeing by the mainstream media. Some of them do it for money, some of them do it for societal, some people do it for cultural reasons. Why do you... Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, I always have to be the voice of reason, I guess. And so things like Breitbart and the Huffington Post, right? You are broadly correct about their motivations and the description of them, but they are broadly accurate with facts. The question is, what facts aren't they accurate with? And it's so they'll give you a one-sided narrative. They'll give you the facts that they think are important, and it's not necessarily malicious, although it probably is in many cases. And I'm no one's going to call me a defender of the media, but they do have a certain level of integrity that they try and hold themselves to, but then interspersed with the actual facts, they'll have narrative. They'll have their own opinions.
Selective editing.
The Huffington Post just did an AMA on Reddit where they were like, we uncovered this candidate who is a pedophile, and it was just, the whole thing was basically an attack thread. The guy answering the questions was downvoted into oblivion. There was one point where he said, we tried to avoid clickbait and have substantive articles, and then someone just posted a bunch of titles of his articles that were absurd clickbait, and I gotta admit, I posted one too. It was, he wrote an article about how Steam, the gaming service, has a Nazi problem. Why? Because around 30 people were posting Nazi memes. That's clickbait garbage. Sure, that's factually true, but it's the way it's presented.
Steam is the largest gaming platform in the world.
30 Nazis.
Yeah, it's got millions of people on it,
So one of the things I always talk about with media and how they wield media to be effective, to be within ethics, is they manipulate the truth. It's like a truth hoax. Like, they take something, the example that everyone's familiar with is dihydrogen monoxide. That's that kind of scam where they'll be like, did you know that hydric acid is found in cancer? And it can kill people if you breathe it in. And they just found large quantities in New York City plumbing. And everyone goes, that sounds terrifying, until you realize hydric acid is water. But the media, everything I said was true. Of course it's in our plumbing, it's fucking water. Sorry for swearing, you're getting demonetized.
That's the point of the plumbing, but yeah, but this is the thing, it's like they do, it's what they don't tell you that's important, because like they'll give you a coherent narrative of facts and events that will be broadly accurate, even if there is like weaving around it like a serpent, their own opinions that will try and color your impression of it, and it's deliberately done. But there will be key facts that they will just leave out that will change the nature of the narrative they've spun around it. And they all do this, both the left and the right. And so
mixed direction a lot of times, especially when it comes to issues that don't matter. When it comes to, oh, here's an internet troll, let's dox him, let's look into all of her information, let's contact her husband, let's see what we could do because we don't agree with this person's opinion, and it's just a regular stupid person out loud.
My favorite example, Mike.com, took a video from Janesville, Wisconsin, where a young woman and a man were arguing, and a young woman and a man were arguing The woman accused the guy of touching her chest, and then the guy put his hands up and said, "No, I didn't." The woman then punches the man, and then someone pepper sprays the woman. Mike.com edited out the part where the girl punched the man, so you only saw them pepper spray a young woman to make it seem like she was an innocent victim, when in reality she was the aggressor and they were defending themselves. That's how they do it. They actually edited out the punch. Isn't that why?
Well, another great example, and this blew my mind, right? You remember when Donald Trump won the election and Richard Spencer hosted a press conference where at the end he was saying, "Hail Trump, hail our people," right? The Atlantic actually edited the video of his speech. They released a short edited version to make it sound like he was calling the media the Jews or something like that, when he wasn't. He was talking about the media themselves and the deceptive practices of the media. And I'm just there. I watched his whole speech, and then I saw the thing, and I was just like, I mean, he called them golems or something, So, and they were like, the intimation. But it's like, look, if you have to lie about Richard Spencer's views, then your problem is pathological. You're not even thinking about doing it. Now you're doing it automatically. Richard Spencer's honest views are bad enough. You don't need to lie about him. And it gives him ammunition against the Atlantic. That's a reputable publication. Why fall into that trap?
And then people take things out of context, and I could just edit out your statement and say, "Oh, Sargon of Akkad is a Richard Spencer supporter right here."
Richard Spencer's speeches. I'm addicted. You could do that, and they do, and it's crazy.
Yeah. And I get, and it kind of sucks for me, because then I get people who don't want to do interviews because they're scared it'll happen. Yep. They think all the media is the same. Yep. There's people on the right who are like, fake news, and they yell about it. And then there are regular people who are like, I'm so worried that you'll take what I say and twist it to make me get attacked and be smeared, because the media actually does this. Like, look at Jordan Peterson. There was an interview, like the criticism of the Vice interview, where the interesting thing is, I think when Vice edited that interview, they genuinely were like, "Oh, we're just going to edit it down for time," not realizing you're stripping out important context that makes him look bad, because they already probably think he's alt-right, white nationalist, some other nonsense.
So the question is, media's power. What are you guys vying for when you guys do your media? What is the power that you guys are going after? Because obviously mainstream media, it's either monetarily driven, corruption driven, ideology driven. What are you guys vying for with your media and what you guys do?
For me, it's ideology, really. I don't think you're going to get rid of money in politics as easily as most people would think, and same with the media. But if you can strip out pernicious ideologies, that's a lot easier to call out, because that's always front and center. That's always the driving force behind the context of the article. You can always see it. It's usually like dripping with it, and so it's very easy to call that out. And it's obvious to the regular person, and pointing that out and explaining it to them it kind of inoculates them against it the next time they see it.
For me, I'm just trying to become the powerful media enterprise to lie, manipulate, and take over the world, get all the money. I'm kidding. For me, someone said to me when I was at an event, I was walking around asking protesters questions, and some guy said, "Whose side are you on?" And I was like, "I'm just a journalist." And he said, "Why are you trying to play referee?" And I thought about it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of like an interesting description of what journalists are doing, like real journalists. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to make sure that people are like trying to understand them, so people can actually have a real dialectic and move forward, but also to make sure there's no tomfoolery, that people aren't corrupt, that they're not cheating, they're not breaking the rules. I get really, really angry when I see people lie, cheat, and steal that damages other people so they can gain power. I'm like, no, that's not how we play the game. We want to respect others, we want to respect someone else's autonomy, and we want to give them information so they can participate in our democracy, not lie to them so they vote for you. That's bullshit.
I just like calling out bullcrap and buttholes that are doing the wrong thing, and I really enjoy doing that. But at the same time, there is that feeling of like, there's a big injustice here. Like, I can't believe he's doing this. Like people need to know. To me, the misdirection thing is the biggest thing I focus on, because as we're talking about NFL, someone kneeling, or Roseanne Barr, we're totally missing the big impacts of what Saudi Arabia is up to, and how the U.S. government and how Donald Trump's all involved in them. And to me, those issues are more important. We got a couple seconds. Any last statements? Again, Sargon's channel and Tim's channel will be in the description of this video. Tim Pool will be continuing the conversation on his channel, so the video to the second part of this conversation will be up at Tim Pool's channel. Any last words, guys?
Just be skeptical. You've got to read from both sides. You can't just read things that agree with you and think that you're informed, because you're not. You've got to read things you disagree with, and frankly, you might well hate. If you read the Huffington Post, you've got to read Breitbart.
what he said, but whatever you read, trust it about 51%. Like, I give general facts in the news the benefit of the doubt, but I typically don't trust any of it at all. So I try to find actual facts and evidence, regardless of what the New York Times or any other outlet would say.
Trust no one, just yourself. Thank you guys. Love you. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.